So what am I currently watching? What am I binge watching? What am I getting into on streaming platforms and television? We're going to get into that in this episode of Film Fan. I'm going to talk about a few things. I had some recommendations to watch a few shows. A couple of them have panned out and one of them not quite so much. So we're going to get into that and I'll tell you all about it on the next episode of Film Fan. Coming up now. Let's go. Hey, welcome to Film Fan, my channel where I discuss all things film related, as well as television and my passion for such things. If that is also your thing, hit the subscribe button if you haven't done that already and the little notification bell so you know when I put up new content. It's a quick episode of Film Fan. I'm just going to talk about TV shows that I'm currently watching and some of the things I've gotten into and just kind of catch up on that. I'll be talking about some of the current stuff like WandaVision, which was quite impressive, the 4th episode of WandaVision. I'll talk about Bridgerton. I will talk about The Wire, which is an older HBO show. I'll talk about Bryan Cranston's current show on Showtime, which is called Your Honor, and another older show called Deadwood, which is an HBO show. And a lot of these were recommendations to me, and a couple of them were shows that I knew I always wanted to watch. I just never got a chance to, and I'm finally going back to watch them. So let's get into it. I'm going to start with the obvious. I'm going to start with what's really trending and what was really probably my favorite so far of the week, which was WandaVision episode 4. Finally, a lot of stuff was revealed there. A lot of stuff was kind of put into place. And as I discussed when I did the first review of WandaVision, I think I reviewed episodes 1 and 2 and talked about how, wow, like this must be a setup. There's stuff going on here. It was kind of like this weird thing happening with this 1950 show with Wanda and Vision. Like, where is this going? And this must be a setup from, the MCU is, putting things in place. And sure enough, this episode, not everything. I'm sure there's so much more to explore here. And that, I think, is what makes it worthy of, continuing to watch and really just be on the edge of your seat. It's really, really good. We found out that, this spot that Wanda is in, that she's kind of like she took over this town, and it's a town that doesn't exist, but she has actors in there. And we found out about Monica Rambeau, whose mother apparently was the head of S.W.O.R.D. or created S.W.O.R.D., and that was like knowledge from the Captain Marvel movies and stuff like that. And she had died, and we learned about the blip, and we saw people actually coming back after the blip. That was kind of cool. All the graphics of people, like including Monica Rambeau, coming back into existence after the blip. So I thought that was pretty cool. We saw familiar faces like Agent Wu, who is from Ant-Man. Obviously, he was in there. And again, we got Dr. Lewis, who, oh my gosh, I love Dr. Lewis. Dr. Lewis from the Thor movies. Something about that woman. It's a combination of the super genius and the eyeglasses and the brunette. Anyway, another subject. So yeah, there was connections and things happening, and we saw a few days before episodes 1, 2, and 3, we got to see like when Monica Rambeau actually goes in there and she's Regina, whatever her name was, when she was inside the television show. We saw like little hints and little clues of things. We got to figure things out. We got to see Vision so like I mentioned in that one episode of Film Fan where I talked about this, isn't Vision dead? Right? Because Thanos pulled the stone out of his head. So we realize now that he's actually dead, I guess. And this is some sort of an illusion thing that Wanda's doing. I'm still not 100% sure. And again, quick note, asterisk on this whole thing, that I'm not Mr. Comic Book guy who knows every tiny detail about Sword and Shield and who's connected to who and who's what. I'm just a layman watching this stuff, and I do love it. And I will give Marvel its props because they're doing a fantastic job. I was telling a friend of mine, it is a good time to be in television when it comes to like Marvel and like the Star Wars universe. They are just like dominating the theaters and dominating television now, more than ever. And it's a really good thing. They're producing really great content. Moving on from WandaVision, the other show I'm watching, which is a more current show, would be Your Honor, starring Bryan Cranston on Showtime, and I am loving it so far. I'm on episode 4 or 5, I believe. I think I'm on like 4 or 5. And the first 2 episodes had me hooked immediately. And that's just how shows are. Sometimes I really want to be kind of, by the end of the first episode, I want to feel like, holy shit, I need to know what's going on with those characters. I want to see what happened. It could be a character thing, or it could be a plot thing, or it could be a combination of them, which would be the best case scenario, where the characters are so draw you in so much and the plot draws you in so much that you know you're going to stick with it. You want to go see what happens at least through episode 2 and 3. Sometimes that doesn't happen right away. Sometimes they drag it and you got to wait till episode 3 before the plot or something or some major character comes in that makes it really worth watching. Not the case with Your Honor. I like Bryan Cranston. Seeing him again on screen, he's always does his best work, no matter what he's doing. And I think this is a similar situation to his character with Breaking Bad, where he's this guy, I mean, totally opposite type of character and lifestyle, but he's this guy who's kind of put into a situation where he's got to figure out what to do, and the downward spiral just continues for him. And I'm not going to give any spoilers, but it's a fantastic show. I like what's going on. Michael Stuhlbarg is in this show, and he plays a mob boss gangster in this, and it's kind of an interesting role so far. I'm not quite sure what he does or what kind of business the gang or the mob is in. It takes place in New Orleans. So the ambiguity of that and he's got a temper, but he doesn't have his temper. His wife is egging him on. They lose their son. I don't want to give you too much detail, but so far it is a riveting show in terms of the performance. I think the performances all around are another thing. I mean, everyone, the Bryan Cranston's son, the guy who plays Bryan Cranston's son in this, the daughter of Michael Stuhlbarg, the gangster's daughter, is fantastic. The acting in this, I just love. So yeah, it's a great show, and that's the one I'm currently finding the most thrill with right now. Diving back into the older shows, I went and watched The Wire. Now, I'm almost embarrassed to say that right here on air, but yes, I never saw The Wire. Never got into it. I shouldn't say never got into it. I never got a chance to watch it. For whatever reason, it just totally went by me. And I knew everyone would always tell me, oh, you never saw The Wire? You never saw The Wire? And now I know why they all said that. First of all, the cast alone is like every possible great actor of our time right now was in that show. Michael B. Jordan, when he was young, is in this show. Idris Elba. I mean, it's just a crazy cast. And it is like such a real crime. It's just that show, and I am loving it. I'm about 5 episodes in on that one as well. So I went back and watched The Wire. It's on HBO Max. I stream it, and that's how I've been watching it. Another old show I went back to watch on HBO On Demand is Deadwood. Most of you, again, you're probably laughing right now, like, how did he not see Deadwood? Film fan didn't see Deadwood. That's a show that like any drama people would watch. I didn't watch Deadwood, and I am freaking loving it. Timothy Olyphant, Ian McShane, the whole cast. I will say this though. I'll say I got to I'm in season 2, like 2.5 now, and it's got a lull to it. It's kind of coming down off that first season, which I think a lot of shows do. They tend to kind of peter out at some point. And apparently a friend of mine told me it's going to pick back up. So we'll see, but I'm going to stick with Deadwood. And now on to the show that I was recommended that I actually just didn't bother with, Bridgerton. Heard a lot of talk about it. Passed it a few times in Netflix, was even referred, to watching. I mentioned it here on this channel, and I always appreciate the recommendations, but I watched the first episode. I got maybe 20 minutes into the first episode and had to turn it off. I might give it another chance. That said, I might give it another chance. I've been wrong before. I've had shows where I didn't get into it right away, and then I gave it a shot, and then 2 episodes in, I was hooked. Maybe that's going to be the case here. But so far, it did nothing for me. I was not mildly interested in anything going on in this show. I'm sure there's something that's going to take place that might change my mind. But right now, Bridgerton, no, not for me. Anyway, that's what's going on with me. That's what I'm streaming. I can't think of anything else. What I'm really, really into, that's pretty much it. Yeah, so let me know if you're watching any of these shows or you know these shows. Go ahead and let me know in the comments below what you think. If you're watching Your Honor, let me know what you think. If you're a big fan of The Wire and Deadwood and you're laughing at me right now, let me know in the comments below like how much you love those shows. Or if you haven't seen those shows, my recommendation to you is go ahead and go back and watch The Wire. It's definitely worth watching again. Go back and watch Deadwood. Really good. And if you're not watching WandaVision on Disney and you're not watching Your Honor, you got to watch these shows. All right. If you like this video, smash the like button. I truly appreciate that when you do that. The little thumbs up there, you hit that before you leave. That's always a plus. And subscribe if you haven't subscribed. And comment. Let me know your thoughts. All right. Let me know what you think I should be watching. I'm just rambling now. Anyway, I'll see you on the next Film Fan.